Hi, and welcome to a little Yin and Yang practice here today. I always suggest have any sort of props that you like to have, especially for the Yin, with any sort of bricks if you want to support for the joints, especially the knees. If the hips are tight, if you like to sit up on something, a towel, a rolled up towel, or even a blanket or something like that. Could be good if you would like. Get any props and get yourself into your seats. Anything, so maybe Sukhasana, cross-legged, maybe you come into Siddhasana, a little bit more into those hips, whatever works for you, and just allow the hands to come to rest onto the knees, onto the thighs, and allow the eyes to softly close. Giving a little gentle rock of the head from side to side. Roll around into the shoulders. Good. And coming into a center space, a space of stillness. Today's quote comes from Master Yin Yang, and it's titled Courageous Restraint. He says, "To forbear is indeed an act of courage and not a symbol of cowardice. It takes great effort and resolution to endure pain and hardship. It requires tremendous confidence to bear insult and disgrace without a hint of retaliation or self-doubt." So I just instantly go to imagining, right, me believing in something, standing for something, and then somebody coming and yelling in my face something completely opposite, or saying stuff about me, saying that how wrong I am and how maybe stupid I am, or all of these things. And trying to, right, our reaction would be to be reactionary. And instead, could you sit in more of a resolute, could you sit in that space listening to this person and not reacting, but instead still standing your ground, but have it not also affect your self-belief, right? Would you start to go into self-doubt? Like, hey, this person's yelling at me. Maybe I am incorrect. Maybe this person is right. Do you start to, in your mind's eye, thinking about this, do you drop into a space of violence? Could you instead step away from that and sit in being courageous and not reacting? And so just as he's saying, he's like, it's not an act of courage to not do that, to not react. Or sorry, not an act of cowardice. It is an act of courage. It's not an act of cowardice. Well, where do you go? What happens when you sit in hardship or pain? How do you react? Could it be a little bit more restrained? Could it be a little bit more in control instead of just reactionary? This comes from a piece that he titles, "Don't Get Mad, Don't Get Even." So give yourself a few breaths and allow yourself to come to your intention for your practice today. Maybe it is working with this idea of courageous restraint. Maybe it's for someone or about something else, but give yourself a few breaths. Allow yourself to come to your intention for your practice today. And with an inhale, gather your intention and your hands to heart center. And together, let's begin the practice by chanting the sacred sound of Om one time. Inhale. Releasing the hands down, allow the eyes to blink open. Stretch the legs out in front of you. Just give them a nice little shake out, nice little wiggle. We're going to come into our first pose, and our first pose is going to be a yin pose. So butterfly pose, soles of the feet together. Little rocks of the hips from side to side, getting yourself comfortable into the shape. But we're going to move into the spine a little bit first. So from upright, tuck the chin under, round and roll yourself down. And then press in, roll yourself all the way up. Maybe even puffing the chest out a little. Exhale, round. And inhale, roll. One more, exhale, round. And inhale, roll. Good. Here, as we round down, and we're just going to stay down here in this butterfly pose. And here we go for 5 minutes here. And remembering your yin practice is passive, so we're not looking to pull ourselves down, but instead we're looking to really just allow ourselves to hang and to dangle down into this space. If you need to have any props, maybe have something underneath the knee if you need, or both of them. Sometimes people even sit up onto something. That's where like kind of a rolled, if you don't have a thin brick, that's where kind of a rolled towel can be nice, or even a pillow. So get yourself in a space that I always say come in at about 75-80%, right? Maybe your brick is a support for your head. Breathing into those side ribs and the back ribs. So we get really caught up on just breathing into those front ribs, but because of this rounding and folding forwards, we could still breathe into the belly for sure, but because we're stretching into that back, maybe having a little bit more space, or that desire to stretch into the back body a little bit. Breathe into that back body. So we have just about 3 more minutes left. Staying aware of how the physical is feeling, right? As we sit into postures for longer and longer, they change, yeah? And so we need to stay aware the whole time, make adjustments if we need to. So although I'm not pro wiggles when you're in this pose, or any yin pose, right? It's about sort of sitting in these spaces, even if it's slightly uncomfortable. And that uncomfort should be kind of a dull, kind of consistent sensation. So it shouldn't have sharpness to it, right? We want to keep just that dull, consistent stretch. And of course, in that, continue to breathe. Notice what starts to happen when we struggle with a posture, or even we learn that when we're struggling in life, right? We start to hold the breath. We start to restrict it, right? We start to breathe very shallow and very short. Keeping that breath flowing, keeping it dropping as far down as you can into the belly, into those side ribs, into those back ribs, allows the body to calm down, which allows us to maybe go a little bit deeper into these poses. Good, so just a little over 1 minute left. Just about 30 seconds. Notice any last bit of resistance or tightness in the shoulders or into the jaw as you come down into the last 10 seconds. Well done. Start to walk the hands in and up, lifting yourself up, lifting those knees up, and give yourself some little rocks from side to side, feeling to get into that stretch into the outside of that hip. Good, and so let's rock forwards, roll forwards onto hands and knees, coming into your tabletop. Bring that little timer around. So in your tabletop, maybe some cat-cows, or maybe just some rocks of the hips from side to side. Just helping just to release that posture a little bit more. Maybe even dipping the hips forwards. And when you're ready, from your tabletop, let's inhale, stretch the right leg long behind you. The toes are pointing down, so the hip is pointing down as opposed to opening it up, right? And try not to sink into this lower belly, but instead pull this pubic bone up and perhaps reach that left arm forwards. If you're feeling too wobbly, you can keep the hand down. If you need some padding underneath this knee, just fold them out under, slide something under if you would like. Otherwise, reach through those fingers, reach through that heel. Keep belly strong, staying for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can stay here or bend into the back knee. Back hand, left hand goes back, takes a hold of that ankle, kick it back. Try not to hang into this right shoulder, but keep lifting out. Belly needs to be strong. Gaze can go over that shoulder. If you're really feeling wobbly, gaze can go down. If you're there, breathing for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, stretch it all the way out, and exhale, release it down. Give it a little rock, give it a little shake out, whatever it might be. And of course, we come onto the other side. Stretch through that left leg, lift that left leg up. It's hip height. Again, try not to open the hip out, try to keep it down. Pubic bone is pulling up, so this belly starts to become engaged, and reach this right arm forwards. Right, strong. So this is extension through the arm and through the leg, and this squeezing into a bit of a center. Staying for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay here or bend the back knee. Right hand goes back, takes a hold, kicks through that foot, lifting out of this left shoulder. Right? Maybe gazing over the right, maybe gazing down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, stretch everything out, and exhale, releasing it down. Give yourself some wiggles. And when you're ready, tuck the toes under, lift the hips, come into your downward facing dog. And perhaps that helps to release into from this posture a little bit. You can lift a leg, move into this hip. Wiggle it around. Good. Give yourself 2 more breaths here. And on your next inhale, come forwards into your high plank. Make sure that the hands are underneath the shoulders. So maybe they walk forwards, maybe the feet walk back. And exhale the knees down to the mat. Untuck the toes, lean forwards and lower yourself all the way down. Inhale, lift up just halfway, Ardha Bhujangasana. And exhale, pushing it back, downward facing dog. Second flow, inhale, come forwards into your high plank. Just as those extended cats, that pubic bone is pulling up. So this is nice and strong. And you can stay with the knees down, or you push the whole body forwards and lower down halfway, Chaturanga Dandasana. Elbows in line with the shoulders. Inhale, lifting up into your back bend. And exhale it back, downward facing dog. Good. Look forwards and just step your feet to the top of the mat. Give a little dangle here, maybe even take a hold of opposite elbows. Soften into the knees, release the arms, and inhale, roll yourself all the way up. Give a little shake out through the arms, maybe a little shake out through the legs. Let's have a nice little flow. So feet press, inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, hands down to step back, high plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower down, your choice. Knees down or chaturanga. Inhale, lift up into your back bend, collarbones nice and wide. And exhale, back, downward facing dog. Good. From here, bend the knees, look forwards, and you're just gonna hop those shins in between the hands. Good. Maybe give those wrists a little bit of a roll around, a little shake out. We're gonna come into another yin pose, child's pose. So you can have the knees together and fold yourself forwards, right? Or you can have those knees wide apart, but keep the toes touching. And your choice, either knees wide, right? Or knees together. And you're gonna round yourself over and folding over the legs. So that you'll feel this different into the hips depending on which version you're doing. Because my femurs don't really rotate into my hips quite well. This is, I can feel this in my hip flexors here, that tight hinge. So this is why I've chosen this one, because this is something that I need to get that to all kind of move around a little bit better for me. Again, you can have the knees wide, which will, it's nice because you can actually really get into those hips a bit. You can have, the arms can be wherever you like. You can have them in front of you. You can stretch them out. You can release them alongside of you. You can turn your head to one side or the other or rest onto your forehead. But you decide what feels good and observe. Just kind of see how everything's feeling, how it's hopefully slowly starting to soften. Breathing into all sides, right? So if you're like me, the knees are together and the chest and the ribs are resting onto the thighs. You have less space in the front, so you have to breathe through the side and the back ribs a little bit more. You've got the knees wide, you have all of this really yummy space for the belly to really drop and to expand, and maybe you're feeling it more there. 3 more minutes. Noticing any resistance into the body, maybe those shoulders are resisting, maybe letting those go, maybe the jaw. Can soften, what else can release and let go. in and up. And bringing yourself forward, stretching one leg back and then the other. And when you're ready, let's tuck the toes under, lift the hips, downward facing dog. With an inhale, bend the knees, gaze forwards. Step or hop your feet to the top of the mat. And fold. Inhale, reaching the arms all the way up. And exhale, hands down, heart center. Good, give everything a nice little shake out. So we just had a really beautiful full moon the other day, which always inspires me to bring in moon salutations into my practice. We do a lot of sun salutations, right, which is masculine, sun, and moon, feminine. So let's move through some rounds of these moon salutations. If you've not done these before, they're super easy. So we start with a locking of the thumbs. So if I refer to locking, it's this, right? See, your thumbs are locked, or interlace, right? Those are the two variations that we work with in our moon salutation. So we start with our locked thumbs, and inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. And exhale, as you bend the knees, bring the hands behind you, interlace the fingers, and you fold. Inhale, hands go down to the mat. Bend the knees to do this, and step the right foot back behind you. Release the right knee down to the mat, and you're gonna walk the hands up onto this left knee, getting into this right hip flexor. So opposite of where we were with that child's pose. Hands can stay here, or lock the thumbs and inhale, sweep the arms all the way up, lift the chest. And exhale, hands go down. Step the left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forwards into your high plank. And everyone on this first one, knees go down, untuck the toes, lean forwards and lower yourself down. So there's two flows in our moon salutations. Inhale, Ardha Bhujangasana. And exhale, pushing it back, Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Second flow, inhale, come forwards. You can repeat that, knees down or lower down halfway, Chaturanga. Inhale, lift up into your back bend. And exhale it back, downward facing dog. Good, 3 breaths here. With an inhale, lift the left leg up behind you. Bring that left foot all the way to the left thumb. That right knee goes down to the mat once again. Back toes tucked or untucked, your choice. Inhale, lift the torso, lock the thumbs, lift the heart. Feel those thumbs almost trying to pull apart, get the stretch into the shoulders. And exhale, hands go down. Step the right foot next to the left and fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lock the thumbs, sweep the arms up, the legs straight and the heart lifts. And exhale, hands down, heart center. Let's go to the other side. Lock the thumbs, inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, interlace the fingers behind you as you fold. Inhale, hands down to the mat. Step the left foot back behind you. Left knee goes down. Good. Walk the hands up onto this right knee, getting into this left hip flexor. Hands can stay here or lift the torso. Lock the thumbs, heart lifts. And exhale, hands go down. Step the right foot back, downward facing dog. Remember, 2 flows. Inhale, come forwards. Everyone, knees down to the mat. Untuck the toes, lean forwards and lower. Inhale, Ardha Bhujangasana. And exhale, pushing it back, downward facing dog. 2 more breaths here. With an inhale, reach the right leg up behind you. Bring the right foot all the way to that right thumb. Left knee goes down to the mat. Lift the torso, lock the thumbs, lift the heart. Exhale, hands go down. Step the left foot to the top of the mat and fold. Bend the knees, lock the thumbs, sweep the arms up. And exhale, hands down, heart center. Give everything a nice little shake out. Good, so we're gonna do that one more time. This time, when we go back, knee can go down like how it did, or you can keep it lifted, which obviously adds to the challenge of the lunge. So, top of the mat, thumbs locked. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale, bend the knees, bring the hands behind you. fold. Inhale, hands go down to the mat. Step the right foot back behind you. Back knee up or down. Lift the torso, lock the thumbs, lift the heart. Exhale, hands go down. Step the left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forwards into your high plank. This time, these two flows are both yours, so you can go knees down, or they can both be chaturangas, your choice. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forwards into your high plank. Lower down, your choice, maybe knees down or maybe chaturanga. Inhale, lift up into your back bend. And exhale, pushing it back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. With an inhale, lift the left leg up behind you. Bring the left foot all the way to that left thumb. Right knee up or down. Lift the torso, lock the thumbs, lift the heart. Feel those thighs squeeze. Exhale, hands go down. Step the right foot next to the left and fold. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the arms up, legs straight and heart lifts. We're gonna go directly to the other side. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the hands behind you, interlace and fold. Inhale, hands down to the mat, step the left foot back behind you. Back knee up or down, lift the torso, lock the thumbs, lift the heart. And exhale, hands go down, step the right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forwards into your high plank. Lower down, your choice. Both of them are your choice. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale it back. Second flow. Inhale, come forwards. Exhale it down. Inhale, lifting it up. And exhale, pushing it back. Downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Inhale, reach the right leg up behind you. Bring the right foot to the right thumb. Left knee up or down. Lift the torso, lock the thumbs. Exhale, hands go down. Step the left foot to the top of the mat and fold. Bend the knees, lock the thumbs. Sweep the arms up, legs straighten. And exhale, hands down, heart center. Release the arms down, give everything a nice little shake out. Good. So those are nice because there's that little extra, right? That little extra breath, that little extra expansion. So let's balance it out. So we had our feminine strength, feminine power, and we'll go towards the men's. Masculine, right? Back to our sun salutation. So top of the mat, big toes touch. Inhale, bend the knees, reach the arms up, Utkatasana. Hips back so that you can see those toes. And exhale, fold forwards, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step or hop your feet back, lower down, your choice. Inhaling up. And exhale it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, reach the right leg up behind you. Bring the right foot to the right thumb. And exhale that left knee down to the mat. You can pad up underneath it if you need to. I often fold the mat under, especially since we're gonna stay here just a little bit longer. Good. You can keep the hands here, or just as we did with our moon salutations, you can walk the hands up onto the knee, or even reach the arms up, coming into Anjaneyasana. So you don't need to lock the thumbs, but you just lift the arms up, getting a big stretch into that left hip flexor. With an exhale, hands go down. Let's scoot that right toe forwards a little bit and Ardha Hanumanasana. Flex through this right foot. This left hip, as you see, is stacked over this left knee. Flexing through this right foot as the heart reaches forwards. So we're not going to stay here for yin style length, but just a few more breaths. Keep lifting through this right thigh, sending that right hip back, left hip forwards. Heart reaches forwards. So don't round to come down, but think lengthening forwards. Let's give it 3 more breaths. Good. From here, slide that right heel back a few inches and re-bend into this knee. Tuck the back toes under. Press down, and you're gonna rise up into your high lunge. Woo. Right hip back, left hip forwards. Strong through that back leg. Fingers lift up, thumbs reach back, heart lifts up. And with an exhale, hands go down, frame the right foot, send it back, three-legged dog. Just give it a nice shake out, nice little roll around, even a wiggle. And we're gonna come into our next yin pose. So bring this right shin forwards, coming into our sleeping swan. So the shin is forwards, and the back leg is long, right? You can stay upright, especially if this is all very tight. Right? Or you can start to fold yourself forwards. If there is pulling into this front knee especially, there's a variation where you can come onto your back, so you're still keeping that right knee bent, and you come into this variation, sometimes referred to as threading the needle, right? But that can be a variation. I usually prefer you to have this right knee pointing more, in this case, the right knee more towards the right side. But if you've got stuff going on into those knees, sometimes to be able to be in this pose, you need to bring this knee a little bit more towards center, right? But if you don't have anything going on into the knees, really look to try to open this right hip out so that right knee points over to the right side, and you're folding over this right shin. You could how to add more sensation, right? 4 more minutes. You could walk over to the left side so you're away from that right knee, and it gives you more of a stretch into that right hip. Or that right shin just starts to come a little bit further forwards, and so that gives you some more stretch, some more sensation. So breathing here, your choice. Maybe you just stay upright. Maybe you have the space to come all the way down, breathing into that right hip. So think about continuing to send that right hip back, right? So we don't want to drop all the way onto it, right? We want to try to keep the hips relatively square. So again, we're kind of pushing that right hip back and the left one almost coming forwards a little bit. Breathing here, 3 more minutes. Starting to open up, finding a little bit more space. Maybe you just want a little bit more sensation, just kind of walking away from that right hip, getting that little bit more deeper of a stretch. Breath flowing, making sure that nothing gets twingy, there's no sharp sensations happening anywhere in the knee, but trying not to have it really happen anywhere. And that includes the throat, that includes the breath, right? Does that start to become shallow and sharp? Or can it stay kind of smooth and silky, which is what we're looking to try to do, especially when we come into a space that's a little bit uncomfortable. So it's about 45 more seconds. Good. Starting to walk the hands in and up. Tuck the left toes under. I bring that back knee in a little bit, just give myself some more space. And send that right leg back behind you. Whew. Maybe you want it down and downward facing dog and wiggle it out. Maybe you want to do some circles with that right leg. Right? Whatever feels good. If you'd like to flow, you can. You can come forwards and lower yourself down. Inhaling it up. And exhale it back. Good. So let's come on to the other side. So remember, we've got that little bit of flow beforehand. So inhale, reach the left leg up behind you. Bring the left foot forwards. And that right knee goes down. Good. So little rocks from side to side. Maybe coming into your Anjaneyasana, maybe just walking the hands up, getting into this right hip flexor a little bit more. Maybe lifting the arms up. If you did so, bring the hands down and we're going to come into our Ardha Hanumanasana. So, scoot those left toes forwards a little bit and then start to straighten through this left leg. Get this right hip to stack over this right knee. So maybe this heel needs to go just a little bit further forwards. Sending this left hip back and the right hip forwards. Keep lifting through those thighs. And the reason I say this, right, so when we engage through the thighs, when we lift those up, it helps us to get into the hamstrings. How is that? Well, it's not gonna make a massive difference. You know, not all of a sudden you're gonna be like, fold all the way down. But if you remember that muscles work in pairs, right? Biceps, triceps. And muscles can't push away, but they pull in, right? So when one muscle pulls in, the other one releases and stretches, right? So that's the idea. If we're lifting, and these two, quadriceps and hamstrings, are opposites to one another, like biceps and triceps. So if you're engaging through this left thigh, then this hamstring, as a reaction to that tightening up, needs to release. So give it just 3 more breaths here. Good. Sliding this left heel back just a few inches. Rebend into that front knee and let's tuck the back toes under and kick through that heel. And from here, inhale, rise up, coming into your high lunge. Feel that stretch into that right hip flexor already. Left hip back, right hip forward. Fingers lift up, thumbs reach back. Find your strength. Feel those thighs squeeze. Give it 1 more breath. Exhale, hands go down. Send the left leg back behind you. Give it a little shake out as we prepare for our sleeping swan on the other side. Bring this left shin forwards and scoot the right leg long. And perhaps folding forwards. So different sides, so different sensations going on. This could be more open, it could be less open. I know for me, my left hip is more open than my right. It used to be dramatically different of all my years of sitting at a desk, being in the design world. But over the years, I mean, I've been practicing for probably 13, 14 years. So it took a little bit of time, but eventually getting into a little bit more balance, but still, I can still feel the difference between the two. So do adjust, right? If you did that variation where you're on your back, come into that. If you're feeling stuff on this knee where you didn't on the other, give yourself that variation. Maybe the knee goes a little bit more forwards. But again, if you don't have anything going on to the knees, I like this left knee more towards the left. It helps to square up the hips, right? So we can send that left hip back and that right hip can come forwards a bit more. And we're less likely to kind of roll and fold all the way over onto that hip. So when you're ready, folding yourself forwards. Have 3.5 minutes. Softening again, making sure breath stays flowing, no sharp pullings or anything happening into the body. This back knee, sometimes you want to pad up under as well. If it's a little, doesn't like the pressure, you can always do that. Adjust yourself. Use any of those props that you would like. One and a half minutes. Can you take this a little bit deeper and just this kind of this last minute, knowing that it's almost over, right? Maybe you walk over towards, in this case, to the right side, so you're away from that left knee, just taking it just a little bit deeper. Making sure everything stays that, just that kind of that consistent sensation, that's consistent stretch, kind of a doll. At 30 seconds. Lovely. Start to walk the hands in and up. Tuck that right toes under. Again, bring that knee in perhaps a little bit as you bring this left leg back. Maybe it's downward facing dog. Maybe it's some hip openers. Maybe it's some big circles. A little shake, a little wiggle. Rocking the hips from side to side. Good. From here, if you'd like, kind of neutralize, bring yourself forwards. You can move through a flow, or perhaps you just stay breathing in your downward facing dog. And lifting the hips and pushing them back. Good. From here, bend the knees, gaze forwards. You're gonna step or hop through your hands and come down onto your bum. Good. And from here, you're gonna round and roll yourself all the way down. You bring the knees into your chest. Just give yourself a little squeeze. Bring yourself back into frame. Bring yourself a little squeeze, a little gentle rock from side to side. And allow the knees to fall over to the right side, left arm out towards the left side. So we're not gonna stay here yin length, but just a few breaths. You can wrap the legs if you like, or you can keep them stacked. You can even put a brick in between the knees if this feels too intense. Just breathing. I often like to push this, in this case, this left hip away. So I'm looking to try to find length. We can get really caught up on like do twist, which is nice, but it also can be nice about finding just a little bit more length and a little bit more space. Allow the breath to come down into the belly. Maybe taking a nice big exhale through the mouth. Good inhale, bring the knees back into your chest. Feel that little massage into the lower back. And let's come on to the other side. Allow the knees to fall over to the left. Right arm out towards the right side. Gazing over again, you can wrap the legs if you would like. It does make the shape deeper, or does take it deeper. Maybe you need to have a brick between the knees to lessen it, or even underneath. Maybe pushing that hip away. Maybe a nice big exhale through the mouth. And when you're ready, lifting those knees up, bringing the knees into your chest. Give yourself a little massage, massaging into that lower back. Let's support the lower back a little bit by coming into a Navasana. So rock yourself up, right? You can bring the feet out in front of you, right? So maybe they're knee level. Maybe the arms reach forwards. So look to lift up through the heart. So we're going to stay here for a count of 10. Keep lifting, engaging into the core. Staying for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Release the feet down, cross the ankles, and just allow everything to drop down. Just allow yourself to come to sit and to observe, maybe giving yourself a few little wiggles here. Good, so we're gonna get into the hips once again. So we're gonna come into shoelace pose. We're not gonna be in it for 5 minutes. We're only gonna come into it for just a couple minutes, about 2 minutes on each side. So lift the knees up, and you're gonna wrap the right over the left, and then those feet come out to the side. They come to the hip. Folding forwards here for 2 minutes. Maybe supporting the head, maybe with the hands, or perhaps with a brick. One more minute. Seconds here, just about 10 more seconds. Softening into that right hip. Good, and in now, lifting yourself up. Bring the hands behind you, unwind the legs, give them a little bit of a shake out. Maybe even a little rock of the hips from side to side. And when you're ready, we're gonna come into the other side. Wrap that left leg on top, with the opposite of what you did before. Remember, if you had that half version, come into the half, or stacking both knees up and rounding and folding yourself forwards. And maybe noticing a difference, just like in our sleeping a sleeping swan from hip to hip, we can notice a difference. So we would most probably feel it here as well. And there can be a difference from side to side. So although we're not in it for 5 minutes, there's still gonna be a little bit of an examination. You can still look at it and kind of breathe into that, and not getting so caught up on the differences and beating yourself up on it or pondering as to why. But it's probably not so much in yoga, just again, it's the life outside is where we build these or gain these imbalances. So just breathe into the space, and if it needs to be altered because it's a tighter side or because it's a more open side, your choice. Just breathe into the space. Just about 30 more seconds left, not much left. Lovely. Inhale, start to lift yourself up. Bring the hands behind you. Once again, unwind the legs. Maybe just giving them a little rock from side to side. And when you're ready, you're going to make your way into your final pose. So maybe that means rolling yourself down, coming into Shavasana, corpse pose, or maybe you bring yourself up and come into a seated meditation. So your choice. Get yourself set up. If you're in Shavasana, allow the chin to tuck under, lengthening into the back of the neck. Get yourself all those little movements to get yourself comfortable, and allow yourself to drop into that space, whatever that is for you, Shavasana or this upright seated position. Face soft, jaw soft, allowing the breath to drop down into the belly. wherever you are, taking a nice big full breath in through the nose and a nice big full breath out through the mouth. If you're in Shavasana, find some wiggles into the fingers and into the toes. Maybe even stretching and reaching through the arms and through the legs. And again, if you're on your back in corpse pose, bring the knees into your chest and allow yourself to roll over onto your right side, pausing there. And wherever you are, whether you're already seated or you're in this little bit of a fetal position, thank yourself for coming to the mat. And when you're ready, pressing and lifting yourself all the way back up and meeting in this seated position. Courageous restraint. To forbear is indeed an act of courage and not a symbol of cowardice. It takes great effort and resolution to endure pain and hardship. It requires tremendous confidence to bear insult and disgrace without a hint of retaliation or self-doubt. Master Yin Yang from Don't Get Mad, Don't Get Even. Take this moment to remind yourself of your intention for your practice. Maybe it was this looking at restraint. Maybe it was something else, someone else. But whatever your intention was, gather it in your hands to heart center, and together let's seal in the practice by chanting the sacred sound of Om one time. Inhale. The light within me honors and respects the light within all of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a beautiful rest of your day, week, weekend. Namaste. And remember, if you're watching this on Instagram, which is where this is being posted, remember that these are all donation classes. So if you enjoyed it and you would like to make a donation, remember you can go to my bio and up there is a PayPal link. Any donation is greatly appreciated. And yes, I look forward to posting another video for you next week.